Here we go, the third of our finals. Timio Roofing, 125cc Rotax Max Light, dominated by one man so far, the 2NZ of Daniel Kinsman. Dan the Man gunning for a 6th New Zealand sprint title, which would put him level with his brother Matt, who starts back there on grid number 3. The defending and 3-time in a row New Zealand Rotax Lights champion, gunning for a 4th title, and we cannot discount him from there. He came from 10th place to take 3rd in the pre-final. He showed that he's fast. There is about 7 or 8 New Zealand current and ex-New Zealand champions in this field, and they will come down to face the start this time. Dan Kinsman on 1, Drysdale on 2, Matt Kinsman on 3, Caleb Cross on 4, Cranston on 5, Jared Cleghorn on 6. Here we go, lights out. The big run down into turn 1. Dan Kinsman in front, Drysdale 2nd, Matt Kinsman 3rd, Cross in 4th, so no change in our first 2 rows. Cranston in 5th. 6th place there is Green. Great start for him with Chris Cox slotting in behind. Well, they've got to try and stay with Dan Kinsman. The completion of the opening lap. Dan Kinsman very good round that final turn. Matt Kinsman had a big look under brakes on the inside of the 11 of Drysdale. Couldn't find his way through. Caleb Cross back there in 4th. Don't discount Crossy. Only really recently come back into karting after a little time out. He's already podiumed at a Rotax Max Challenge. And nothing short of a podium will keep Crossy happy. Cranston in 5th, the North Island champion. 6th place is Cross, a former multi-South Island champion. There goes Matt Kinsman up the inside of Drysdale. Kinsman 1-2. Oh, as it tightens up, Crossy gets bumped back to 5th, because Jacob Cranston comes through now into the top 4. A little bit of an arm wave gesture there from the North Island champion. Corey Green under attack from the 6th cart of Kieran Woods out of Canterbury. Clock Tower Motors sponsored. And look at Kinsman in front. Dan Kinsman stretching away with 23 to go. Well, even if Matt Kinsman can't make it a 4-peat here today, the title could very well still stay in the Kinsman family. Dan the Man in front. Matt Kinsman in 2nd place in front of Drysdale. And Drysdale's got his Manawatu clubmate Cranston in 4th. Cross in 5th. Chris Cox in 6th. Getting tight further back. They went 3 wide off the exit of turn 1, and they're still 2 wide now as they run through Southern Paints. Well, the chasing pack has got to start going, because you can't let Dan get too far away. Matt Kinsman looks back. Off the final turn, Matt Kinsman just perhaps a little bit too deep. Only takes half a cartwheel, but it's enough to just compromise that pace down into 1. Nose to tail for 2nd through to 6th place on the infield. Little gap back to the 6th cart now. Kieran Woods has made the pass on Corey Green. Green's gone back a couple of places. "20 laps to go. Final number 3, brought to you by Tim Yo Roofing. Well, we're just waiting to see if the black and whites are coming out. Yes, they are. Who is that for? Cart number 9, Jared Cleghorn getting the black and white. You never want to see that in a final. 19 to go for Dan Kinsman. Dan Kinsman, the Sodi Kart New Zealand driver. Also IKS Race Engines. Still a Kinsman 1-2. Well, will they simply be swapping the numbers around after this race? It's a possibility, but we've got a lot of laps left to run. 18 to go next time. Drysdale still in third. Cranston's fourth. Fifth place for Caleb Cross. Chris Cox in contention in sixth. That's basically your podium at the moment. As we almost go 10 laps into the final, it does look like that lead has shrunk a little bit. Richard Moore might allude to that for me on the live stream.
Yeah, so the gap now is just ever so slightly over 1 second. 32.7 for the front four, even 5 karts just under the 32.8 mark. Fastest kart last time round, Matt Kinsman.
So Matt Kinsman was the fastest kart on that previous lap. He has taken a very small margin out of this race lead. Will we see a Kinsman Titanic battle at the front? Well, I know Michael and Anita will be chewing fingernails off if it comes down to that.
And Matthews just responded again by going fastest for the race, 32.6.
Matt Kinsman just doing a 32.6, the fastest of the race so far. So the national champion, the 3-time in a row national champion going for 4, has started to put in fastest lap times on his brother Dan out in front. You can see that the gap's decreased. Not a lot, but we've got 15 laps to go. Drysdale third, Cranston's fourth, Caleb Cross in fifth, Chris Cox sixth. Further in the pack, 97, Jamie Smith trying to hold out the 21 of Ben Carter. Further back from that is the 5 of Scott Glenn from Southland. Well, Matt Kinsman having a look back and keeping an eye on my markers, and I reckon he took about a kart length out of the race lead. 14 to go. We're not even half race distance yet. It's all going to come down to kart setup here on this final half of this race. New Zealand Rotax Max Lights Championship, one of the prestigious classes in KartSport New Zealand. It's got a proud history going back to around 2000, I think might have been the first year of this, when the Hamiltons dominated that championship for 4 years in a row. Now we're half race distance, and you can see that the gap distance has decreased. And you can see visibly that Matt Kinsman's the one coming on, because Drysdale's dropping back in third, and he could yet come into the clutches of the North Island champion Jacob Cranston. But it could be a straight shootout for Kinsman versus Kinsman.
Yeah, last time we spoke was a second gap. Now it's just over 6/10, and it's just tiny little gaps that Matt's taking out of Dan each lap.
Well, over the course of the last 4 or 5 laps, Matt Kinsman has taken out 4 tenths.
And Mike, Dan has responded there. He's gone fastest of his race so far, but not faster than Matt. Matt's still taking time out of him, down to 5 tenths now.
Well, we saw that Dan Kinsman had responded. He did a quicker lap than Matt Kinsman on that previous one, but Matt's come back to respond again. The gap was a second about 6 laps ago. Now it's down to about half a second on the racetrack. So without a doubt, Matt Kinsman is coming on. Catching Dan could be one thing, getting by him might be another thing entirely. Just under 10 laps to go. Dan Kinsman trying to win this title. Early retirement for the 5 card of Scott Glenn. Nine laps to go now. So I just had a mic issue then, sorted that.
So Mike, for the first time in a while now, Dan's consistently for 2 laps being faster than Matthew. So the gap now just ever so slightly larger at 0.6, but he's not getting away.
Last 2 laps, Dan Kinsman has been quicker. He's responded to the challenge. The gap back to 0.6. 8 laps to go. We've still got just under a third of this race to run. It's a sprint race distance. And Matt Kinsman will be looking at that board and knowing that time is running out to hold on to this championship. If Dan can win this title, it will put him level at 6 championship wins with Matt Kinsman, his brother. Early retirement also, 27, Alicia Morton. 7 to go. They wind their way through Southern Paints. Dylan Drysdale's not too far back in 3rd. The NZGP. So we see 6 laps to go. Well, can Matt Kinsman close up? He has closed up, in fact. Can he get close enough? Just under 6 to go. Dan Kinsman still out in front. Led every single lap of this final. And the back markers all heading down the chute early, getting out of the way of this race. And you can see how much that gap has decreased now. 5 laps to go. Matt Kinsman looks back. He's got a bit of a break over Drysdale. He's too experienced to start focusing backwards. He'll be looking forwards on his brother out in front. But Dan, the man's been too strong. Any lesser a driver, and Matt Kinsman would have swallowed him up by now. But Dan Kinsman knows his brother's style. They know both each other's styles so well. The body language from both of them. Head down, tucked in behind the wheel, both pushing as hard as they can. 4 to go. Cranston still trying to hold out Caleb Cross. Chris Cox in 6. There's been no change in the top 6 for about the last 15 laps. And you can see there Matt Kinsman getting closer. He pushes deep. He's possibly better under brakes down in deep into the corner. And as they run through Macaulay Ford Sweeper, this is possibly, arguably, the closest that he's been. Tucked in behind the wheel, both pushing as hard as they can. 4 to go. Cranston still trying to hold out Caleb Cross. Chris Cox in 6. There's been no change in the top 6 for about the last 15 laps. And you can see there Matt Kinsman getting closer. He pushes deep. He's possibly better under brakes down in deep into the corner. And as they run through Macaulay Ford Sweeper, this is possibly, arguably, the closest that he's been all race long. And Matt Kinsman's almost there. He's about 3 kart lengths off. If he can get another kart length closer, he might just get the toe down the main straight for a last lap dash. This is not over. Drysdale would love to be right on the back bumper of Matt Kinsman right now. But he's just a little too far back. He might be a spectator-in-chief back there in 3rd. They come down through Macaulay Ford Sweeper. We're still going to have 2 to go. Matt Kinsman closing. Dan Kinsman tucks down, sits back up as they run through the final turn. 2 laps to go. Dan tucks back down in behind the seat, trying to get every little bit of pace out of that kart. 2 NZ, wanting 1 NZ, leading the New Zealand champion. Through the infield, trying to stay clean, stay on the rubber. The camber, you can use it to good effect here in Invercargill. Round through Macaulay Ford. The last lap board is out. Matt Kinsman's got to get in the draft off this turn. 1 lap to go. Dan Kinsman looks round. Matt Kinsman looks the other way. They run down into turn 1. Coming off the corner clean. Matt Kinsman closing all the time. Dan, though, is strong off the corner. Matt's good into the turn. He closes up. Dan stretches away again. Again, they concertina up through the infield at MKS. Round through Macaulay Ford. Round through those final corners. I think it's a done deal. I think Dan Kinsman has turned the tables on his brother and keeps the title in the family. Dan Kinsman, New Zealand champion. Matt Kinsman, runner-up. 3rd place, Dylan Drysdale. 4th place will go to Jacob Cranston. 5th place, Caleb Cross. Top 6. And a step on the podium at prize giving for Chris Cox. Well, Richard, he was just too strong there at the end. And what a drive for Dan. Undefeated throughout the day.
Yeah, unbelievable. And hey, it was an exciting race just to watch the times, because they were just trading fastest and personal best times throughout. And it was all on. Drysdale even coming on song at the end there. He was super quick. I was...
yeah, came on maybe 2-3 laps too late.
Yeah, possibly. And look, they said they were focusing on the Rotax light class. And hey, hats off. That's a seriously competitive class. I can't believe it. Like, Matthew must be tearing up the ration book. He's given the kart to Dan to race, and then he's gone and beaten him.
Yeah, I know. But if anyone was going to beat him, well, the only person he'd want to